Attention passionate Montreal, Canadiens fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the Atlantic Division and it could shake up the entire conference. We're talking about a direct impact on Montreal Canadiens' path to another Stanley Cup run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Montreal Canadiens fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Montreal, Canadiens fans. Let's get to the news. Alright, folks, today we have some really intriguing developments that could significantly influence the Montreal Canadiens' future plans. Everyone's been talking about what the Habs might do this offseason, especially after a season that left many fans wanting more. But what's really catching attention now is the potential blockbuster trade that could reshape their roster and give them a real boost heading into the next campaign. The rumors are swirling around a possible deal involving Nazem Kadri, a veteran center with a Stanley Cup under his belt, and it's something that could change the entire dynamics of the division. Now, to understand why this is such a big deal for Montreal, let's take a step back and look at their recent struggles and the position they're in. The Canadiens, despite having a solid core with players like Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki, have been in search of that extra offensive spark. They've been trying to find a second-line center or a promising winger to elevate their scoring threat. Their roster has shown flashes of brilliance, but consistency has been an issue, and injuries only made things more complicated. In particular, the injury to Kirby Dach has become a major concern. Dach was expected to be an integral part of their second line, bringing size, skill, and versatility. But recent reports indicate that Dach's recovery is not progressing as quickly as hoped. Maxime Truman from Dan's Les Coulisses shared that Dach's chances of being ready for training camp are slim. That's a real blow for the Canadiens because, as Truman pointed out, having a reliable second-line center is more crucial than adding another defenseman or a third-line winger at this point. The team needs someone who can step in and produce right away. This is where the potential trade for Nazem Kadri comes into play. Heavy. Com proposed a blockbuster deal that could see the Canadiens acquire Kadri from the Calgary Flames in a one-for-one swap. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Kadri, isn't he getting a little up there in age? But let's not forget, Kadri is still a highly skilled, experienced center who brings a playoff-winning mentality to the table. The 34-year-old has been a consistent performer, and in the 2020-2025 season, he managed to put up an impressive 35 goals and 67 points in just 52 games. That's the kind of offensive production Montreal desperately needs to bolster their top six and add some veteran leadership to a relatively young core. And if we look at the details of this proposed deal, it's pretty straightforward. The Canadiens would send Lane, the 27-year-old winger known for his goal-scoring ability and size, to Calgary in exchange for Kadri. Lane, with his 6'4" frame and 20 goals last season, is a player who can provide immediate offense and bring a physical element to any line he's on. The Flames, on the other hand, would get a player with only 1 year remaining on his contract, which gives them some flexibility. They could decide to keep Lane long-term if they see him as part of their future, especially given his goal-scoring prowess. From a salary cap perspective, this deal would also bring some relief to Montreal. Moving Lane would lighten their cap hit by about $1.7 million. While that doesn't solve all their financial issues, it's a step in the right direction, giving them more room to maneuver in free agency or to make other moves. And let's face it, every little bit helps when you're trying to build a competitive team that can contend for the playoffs, and hopefully, a deep run in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Reports have emerged recently about Dach's health status, and it's not looking too promising right now. Maxime Truman mentioned that Dach is working out, but not in the way you'd hope, more as part of his rehab process rather than building strength for the season. He's seen doing squats with weights that look more like beginner gym equipment rather than what an NHL player would be lifting. And as Truman points out, the chances of Dach being ready for the start of training camp in a couple of months are pretty slim. That's a huge concern for the Canadiens because they've been counting on Dach as a key piece for their second line. Without him, they need someone who can step in and produce immediately. This situation makes the potential Kadri trade even more appealing for Montreal. Kadri is a 15-year NHL veteran, someone who's been through the grind and knows what it takes to succeed in the league. His experience can be invaluable for a team looking to develop its younger players while still competing at a high level. According to Nick Kypreos, Kadri might even be willing to waive his no-move clause to come to one of two Canadian teams in the Eastern Conference, Montreal or Toronto. That's a significant detail because it shows how much Kadri values the opportunity to play in Canada and contribute to a team that's heading in the right direction. Kypreos also mentioned that the Maple Leafs' chances of acquiring Kadri might not be as high as some fans hope. Toronto's management has tried multiple times to reacquire Kadri in the past, but Calgary has been resistant, especially when it comes to their other assets like Tanev, Zadorov, and Anderson. Still, Montreal's interest remains strong, especially with the possibility that Kadri could bring leadership and production to their lineup as they rebuild and retool for a playoff push. Furthermore, Kadri's contract still has 4 years remaining, which might seem like a lot, but it also means the Canadiens could benefit from his leadership and skill set for the foreseeable future. His playoff experience and ability to perform under pressure are exactly what Montreal needs to mentor their younger players and push for a more competitive season. Looking at the bigger picture, this potential trade isn't just about adding a player, it's about setting a tone for the Canadiens' future. They're trying to assemble a core that can grow together, compete, and contend for a Stanley Cup again. Bringing in Kadri would send a message that Montreal is serious about winning now, but also about building a team that combines veteran savvy with young talent. Lane's goal-scoring ability paired with Kadri's experience could be the perfect blend to elevate the Canadiens' offense and overall team chemistry. Of course, nothing is set in stone yet, and there are still many questions that need answers. Will Kadri waive his no-move clause? Will the Flames accept Lane in the trade? How will Montreal's management navigate their salary cap and roster constraints? These are all things that the fans are eagerly waiting to see unfold. But what's clear is that Montreal is actively exploring options to improve their roster, and this potential deal could be a game-changer. As fans, we all know that off-season moves can make or break a team's trajectory. The Canadiens have shown they're not afraid to make bold decisions, and this kind of strategic move could be exactly what's needed to push them over the edge into playoff contention. The excitement is palpable, and the anticipation of what's coming next is part of what makes following this team so thrilling. Whether it's Kadri, Lane, or another surprise addition, one thing is for sure, Montreal is gearing up for a serious push, and the next few weeks could be pivotal in shaping their future. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about this potential trade? Do you believe Kadri can be the veteran leader Montreal needs? Or is Lane the goal scorer who can ignite their offense? Or maybe you see other moves on the horizon? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Montreal Canadiens. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Montreal Canadiens news. This team is always evolving, and we're here to bring you every piece of the puzzle as it unfolds. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Habs.